FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
Well, we compared the Reverend to Bill Clinton a little earlier. You know, Robin Williams said at an event the other night that Hillary Clinton was going to throw his clothes out of the second-story window of the White House during the Lewinsky scandal. He said, you know, if you don't do that, I'll make sure you get elected. And he didn't seem to have done a great job so far. Now you see him, you know him, yeah. you watch. Obviously, he's still got some magic going on, but he doesn't seem to have been entirely helpful to her campaign.
Well, I have covered them all for years, and I've known the Clintons since the mid-'80s, and I would not pretend to have any idea what truly is at the core of that relationship. That's way beyond whatever powers of observation and reporting I have. It's positively Shakespearean in its depth and complexity. It really is. I think Bill wants her to win because I think he wants validation for the Clinton brand name, and I think he wants her to win based in part on the appeal of his tenure as president. He wants that passport to history stamped. If she's rejected, in a way, he's rejected. On the other hand, there is a competition between the two, and anything you can do, I can do better. But I think overall he wants her to win. I think the problem is, well, first of all, it's physical. Don't forget he had heart bypass surgery. And Bill Clinton always had this capacity to fly into literally purple rages. I mean, I've seen him when his face gets red to crimson to nearly purple. And I think maybe physically things are affecting him some. He doesn't look as hale as he did, obviously. And it's a tremendous amount of pressure for a guy like Bill Clinton to be out there and not really be able to control things. He isn't really controlling things. I mean, I saw him give a speech in Waterloo, Iowa. There were about eight, they didn't fill up the room for him. It was at a sort of third-level drag racing place. He was there. I was the only reporter there. And he spotted me, and, we talked, and he said, "Howard, what are you doing here?" And I said, "I came to see you." And he was great. And he stated Hillary's case for her candidacy better than she ever does, or did, back in February. But the powerlessness of it enrages him. Also, Obama enrages him. And Ryan Lizzo of The New Yorker has a piece this week, and quoting one aide to the Clinton camp saying that Bill really can't stand Obama. And I believe that because Obama has some of his moves. It was jokingly said that Bill Clinton was the first black president. Well, in that case, Obama would be the second black president, or the first real black president. And that was more important, that was his constituency. Bill Clinton, it's a little known fact that the main reason that Bill Clinton was able to survive and win the Democratic nomination in 1992 is that Doug Wilder, the governor of Virginia, the African-American governor of Virginia, didn't run. And the fact that Doug Wilder didn't run opened up Southern African-American voters to Bill Clinton. And Bill Clinton could be the blue-eyed soul brother winning the Southern black votes, and that's how he survived and won the nomination. Well, Obama locked that vote up. And one reason why you saw Bill Clinton so upset in South Carolina was that those were his people. And they abandoned him, and they abandoned the Clinton brand name for this new guy. And a lot of it is also just generational jealousy. I mean, Obama's 46, he's not a kid, but he comes off as a lot younger. He's the younger guy that Bill Clinton once was.
Well, first of all, I just want to ask you, what's a first-level drag place? Rhetorical entirely.
Right.
I
don't know, never having been to one.
Yeah. I was listening pretty carefully to your description of sort of what may be motivating Bill Clinton, and I have to say that it was hard to find any noble motive in there. He's competing with his wife. He wants approval for his his previous administration, and he doesn't like Obama. It just didn't seem to be anything, because one of the questions that I probably have lost, is there or has there been true integrity in politics? There doesn't seem to be much, and that description, to me, just sort of describes that point.
Well, it's not fair. You're right to call me on it. It isn't entirely fair. I think Bill Clinton thinks that having a Clinton back in the White House, having his wife specifically, will be good for the country. I believe that. And I'm not so cynical about politics and politicians that I think that they don't also operate from good motive. I think that's a given. Because they wouldn't go through what they go through. And believe me, what they go through is unbelievable if they didn't have some basic belief in the country. And so you're right to call me on that. I think he does. Of course he does. He was President of the United States. How cool is that, you know? And he cares. Of course he cares. And that was the great thing about him as a candidate. I mean, I saw the way he survived in New Hampshire. I describe it in the book in '92. People would line up in a high school cafeteria after he gave his speech, and one by one they would come in front of him, and he would stand there with his big, you know, planted and 6'4", and looking down at him with those gray eyes, maybe 6'2.5" with his gray eyes, looking down. And for the 30 seconds that each person was in front of Bill Clinton, it was as though there were no other concerns and no other interests. He really cares about people. He really does. I believe that. And I give all of these people credit. And I don't think people in journalism do give politicians enough credit for doing what they do. And the politicians, I think, who are the most successful, as Chris Matthews was saying, the ones with the sun in their face, are the ones who believe in what they're doing. So I stand corrected.